This week, we go behind the scenes of brand new horror anthology film Nightmare Cinema with one of the film's stars, Sarah Withers, who is in the studio with us tonight. Also, we have all the week's horror news, conventions, and the showdown between Woody, Chucky, and Annabelle. It's the Battle of the Toys. This week on the ScareGuys Show.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
Yes. Welcome to the ScareGuys Show. We are so excited to have you here this week. We're for the first day of summer was just this last week, the longest day of the year, and I tell you what, it doesn't feel like we should be into all this scary news, but we are because there's so much going on. My name is Jim. I am the managing editor here at the Scare Guy. You can find me at Jim Frye LA on Twitter or James D. Frye on Instagram. Who else do we have with us today?
Hi, I'm Katie, or as I'm known now, I guess the resident Final Girl.
Final Girl, that's right.
Nickname here. So yeah, and then I'm just here, ready to talk about the upcoming fall season.
That's right. And speaking of Final Girls, we have a real life Final Girl with us in the studio today. Who do we have?
Hey guys, I'm Sarah Withers.
Everybody's cheering for you.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Jake. I'm a filmmaker and film fan here in sunny LA.
And I'm Cheeseman on the couch here.
Can you say that again?
Cheeseman on the couch. Oh, I'm back. I am unmuted and sitting here on the couch. Cheeseman on the couch with the ScareGuy.com.
We always have to mute Luke. We never know what he's going to say. Speaking of Final Girls, Sarah, thank you so much for being with us on the show today. We were very excited. Me and Cheeseman just got done watching the movie that you're in, Nightmare Cinema. What a great, over-the-top, schlocky, gory, funny, ridiculously over-the-top film, which makes me love 80s monster movies all that much more. But anyways, I just wanted to say thank you for coming. So your journey as an actress, how's that been going?
Well, it's been going very well. So I started out very different from Nightmare Cinema. I was watching Lizzie McGuire, of course, when I was 8, and so I thought, if Hilary Duff can do it, maybe I can too. So
this is what dreams are made of.
Oh, we got a fan over here.
Oh.
Was she in the movie?
No, that's a quote.
It's probably a quote or a song.
It's a song lyric.
It's the song.
Yeah.
Continue.
So tell us more, Gia.
From the Lizzie McGuire movie.
So she goes to Rome. She has an identical double who's in a singing pop group, and the guy wants to. It's complicated. Continue.
We know somebody's celebrity crush.
Awesome.
Ooh, yeah. So I'm from the Bay Area. So
Nice.
From Sonoma County, and so my mom and dad are wonderful people, and they drove me an hour to go take classes at ACT in San Francisco. So I did that for a number of years, and then I was able to go to a performing arts high school in Santa Rosa High School. And from there I went to USC and did their BFA acting program, and so yeah, and then while I was in school, I really wanted to be working professionally by the time I was out, and so lo and behold, Nightmare Cinema came along. So we actually shot that about 2 years ago. So I was still a student at the time, and it was great.
And it's got a lot of big names associated with this film. And for those who don't know, Nightmare Cinema is an anthology film. It's 5 sections. It's 5 different pieces strung together by a pretty creepy story. Who is the guy that's at the center of that story?
Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And we have a picture for those of you who are watching on YouTube right now. This is Sarah as she. By the way, we will not be giving away super spoilers of the film since it just debuted, and it will be coming out soon on. Can we say on Shudder soon?
Yeah, and then also on iTunes, Amazon.
We just watched it
Play.
on Amazon, and it's having a national debut in a bunch of theaters as well.
Yes, it is. I went and saw it at the Hayworth Thursday night. There was a cast and crew screening, and my dad flew down, and we went together, which was really fun. And then
It's a good dad.
Yeah, my brother had a baby the other day, so my mom was on grandma duty. She went and saw it in San Francisco with my friends and stuff.
Your grandmother saw the film?
My mom and my grandmother. Yeah, my grandma's 89. And
What does she think? We gotta know.
she told me I looked a lot better when we were FaceTiming afterwards. I cleaned up a little bit.
Okay.
Oh, here, and there's a picture on the screen right now of you in deep anguish.
That scream it hurt. Like, we did a few takes of Eric Nelson. He played the welder, and so we shot on him, and I did the screen even when we were shooting him, and then we came back to me, and I was like, I got to give it all I got. This is my moment. So
that is anguish. That is anguish. It's such a great image. That's the image that we have on Instagram right now, just because it's so great.
Thank you.
Lots of blood.
Yeah. Also, and we're gonna jump into the next part of the show, but first, I also hear that you are obsessed with houseplants.
Oh, yeah. I believe the
that
term
about?
is botanophile. It just came from the fact that I'm not responsible enough yet to take care of a live animal. And so this was the next best thing. So, but I take great care of them. They grow very quickly. I kill very few. So I'm up to 30, maybe 35. And well, they
Right
keep
now in your
multiplying.
house?
Yeah. So if they're doing well, you can, repot them and then they grow new ones. So.
Cheeseman has a new love of houseplants as well.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
I have 2 outdoor ones now. It's some sort of palm.
He's got a pygmy palm,
Pygmy palm, and the other one's the...
white bird of paradise.
Yeah.
And so
I'm very new to this, obviously. But
I was going to say a great sequel to Nightmare Cinema would be a segment called The
just
Botanophile.
remember the name of plants.
And it's almost like Gremlins with house plants.
Well, I was just gonna say like Little Shop. Or,
Oh, yeah,
There you go,
perfect.
yeah. They did it already.
Yeah.
You're right, Katie.
They're
No,
all
but like,
very
you know,
bush. They're in the sun.
you
so
need
they're
like
not
that kind of
totally
plant in your
inside.
house.
Yeah.
It'll be
Right.
good.
Yeah.
Well, we are so glad that you are here with us tonight, and we're so excited to talk about Nightmare Cinema
Thank you.
during the second half of the show. But Katie, first, we have some events that are coming up. What are they?
Yeah, so coming up June 28th through 30th, so this weekend, is Mad Monster Party in Arizona. That's a fun name. Scottsdale, Arizona. It's going to have Elvira, Robert Patrick, Kane Hodder, Adrian Barbeau, Tom Atkins, Doug Jones, Matthew Lillard, and the kid from The Shining. Well, you don't have his name. What's his name?
You know why?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I didn't think anybody would recognize his
Okay,
name.
that makes sense. Okay, July 5th.
Do you know his name, Jake?
No.
See, he teaches college like mathematics now, and he tries to disassociate himself with the kind
Oh,
from The
understandable.
Shining.
Okay.
So I call
Yeah.
him the kid from The Shining.
All right. And then July 5th through 7th, so right after July 4th, is Days of the Dead in Indianapolis, Indiana, and that's travels around. That moves around all the time. August 2nd through 4th is Flashback Weekend in Chicago Horror Con, which has Sam Raimi? Is that how you say it?
Sam Raimi, yeah.
Sam Raimi, Robert Englund, Bruce Campbell, and more. That's a...
The 2 of them in a room would be
Yeah, I
priceless
was
to
like,
Oh my
attend.
gosh, yeah.
Raimi and Campbell, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. And then August 3rd through 4th here in Southern California is Midsummer Scream in Long Beach. And August 30th through September 1st is Creature Feature Weekend in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.
There's
So,
also this coming weekend,
the Stranger Things
Yes.
pop-up.
there's a
Carnival.
the Stranger Things Carnival on the
Yes.
Santa Monica Pier in Los Angeles, June 29th and 30th. It's absolutely free, so expect it to
I
be
believe it's
absolutely
10
packed.
to 7, I believe. So you
Good
just
luck
show
with
up.
parking.
Yeah.
What's that?
I
already
recommend public transit because it's going to be crazy to park in Santa Monica. But yeah, it's from 10 to 7. It's free. They're going to have all sorts of 80s themed stuff and a ice cream shop that's themed after this current season. So it seems pretty fun. I'm going to try to stop by.
We will talk about 80s theming in just a second
Yeah.
because of the next stuff you're about to tell us about.
So we have some Horror Nights updates for all of you Universal Horror Nights fans in Orlando.
As we all are here in this room.
Yeah, so starting with Orlando, select nights September 6th through November 2nd this year, and the 80s return with a vengeance.
80s are returning with a vengeance, and there's a reason why that's happening right now.
10 haunted houses, 5 scare zones, and live entertainment. They have Stranger Things season 2 and 3.
Which is cool. Season 3 is going to be in the
Yes.
haunted houses right after it comes out this
Yeah.
in next week.
So you got to
Next
watch
week,
them all
yeah.
pretty fast
Yeah.
to be caught up in the maze.
Who's not going
Yeah.
to?
Yeah.
Universal Monsters, which was in Hollywood last year. And then Depths of Fear, a flooded mining operation with monsters. That sounds pretty terrifying. And Nightingale's Blood Pit, grisly creatures in an ancient Roman arena. And then today, they announced...
Yeti, Terror of the Yukon.
Oh my gosh.
Yeti, Terror of the Yukon was announced just today. We have an article on thescareguy.com if you want to check out all the information about it, too. It looks great.
I still want to do a Jaws one somehow.
they're doing
They
this
can
like
figure it out.
they're flooding this mining town, so I'm sure they could do a Jaws.
Yeah, why not?
I watched the movie coming out.
You're ready for a
I'm
Jaws
ready.
theme something, right?
What is
Yeah,
the
all of a
movie that's
sudden.
coming out this summer? Crawlers.
About
No,
the
crawl.
Crawl.
The
Crawl space.
crocodile.
Crawl space.
47 meters
Yeah.
down.
Have you seen that?
Sequel.
Yeah, but like
Looks
Crawl Space
good.
is about a hurricane hitting like a Florida town and this girl getting stuck underneath her house when it floods with all the alligators and snakes
Yeah,
and
it's
things.
called Crawl, not Crawl Space.
Oh,
but
Crawl.
Crawl, yes.
It looks terrifying.
Also, when did Hollywood announce their beginning date? Was that recent too?
I saw that today.
Okay, so they did announce that. I
Yes.
did not know that. Okay, so they also announced for Hollywood it is starting on Friday the 13th this year. It's a little
September
bit earlier
13th,
than
yeah.
normal. And then also Stranger Things season 2 and 3. They also announced prior to this a Holidays in Hell maze, which last year was a scare zone for anybody who went. So they're doing a maze of it this year. And then they're also bringing back Universal Monsters Frankenstein and Wolfman.
That's kind of cool.
So-
like it's a little variation on
Yeah,
just
it's a little
the monster maze. And
Yeah.
did you guys ever see the Frankenstein versus Wolfman movie? It was
The Lon Chaney Jr. one from
No.
way back in the days?
the
or-
one from the 70s.
No.
The weird 70s art house movie. Remember?
Do tell.
The guy who was. We did a show just a few weeks back about the horror director who was mysteriously killed and hidden up underneath the hot tub. Remember that? That was
I do not remember this, but okay.
Anyways, he directed a movie.
It's a good show. Check it out.
It was a great
Yeah.
show. You guys should go back a couple of weeks and watch. It was our most recent Scare Guys show, I think. We had a really good guest on that week, Bethany Jones. Mm-hmm. And so she does a true crime horror podcast, and she brought a true crime on that week about a B-movie horror director from the like 40s through the 70s and how he was out in Palm Springs, ended up missing, and his home repair man was indicted.
Found him.
And killed him, and took apart the hot tub and buried him under there, and then built the hot tub back up. Oh, no, he didn't build it back up, which he should have done.
What a crummy home repairman.
Oh, I know. Anyways, so
Because he didn't build the hot tub up. That's why.
there's also one more super cool event that we missed. It happened this weekend. What could it be, KT?
I don't know.
Didn't you have a birthday?
Oh, yeah. I was like, what? What are you talking about? Okay,
Happy
yeah.
big birthday to Katie from this past weekend.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Margaritas are on loop because of that. All right. So we do have a little bit of horror news this week, which is kind of cool. And me and Jake are going to kind of tag team this. But Jake, if you can take it from the top.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. So here's 3 minutes of the week news. Blumhouse's sequel to 2018's Halloween is set to go into production this September for an October release of next year. That would make it, I guess, technically Halloween 13 or 14, but in this instance, it would be Halloween 3 when they rebooted the series, because this is the new sequel. But this is the sequel to...
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Yep.
so who knows what number it is. Apparently, Jamie Lee Curtis, Judy Greer, and Andy Matichak have all been approached about returning alongside writer-director David Gordon Green. John Carpenter has also stated he would be interested in returning to score the sequel if the timing was right. I would love it for that music, he did the theme do 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 do, but if it was a 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 and
There you go.
anyway, last we heard, Scott Teems was on board to write the film. He previously adapted a pair of Stephen King novels for Blumhouse, Firestarter and The Breathing Method, the latter of which is expected to be directed by Scott Derrickson, director of Exorcism of Emily Rose, Sinister, and Doctor Strange. Next, James Marsden is circling the role of Stu Redman in The Stand, the CBS Studio CBS All Access limited series adaptation of Stephen King's classic horror novel, based on the post-apocalyptic horror novel by King that outlined the total breakdown of society after the accidental release of a strain of flu that had been modified for biological warfare and causes an apocalyptic pandemic which kills off the majority of the world's human population. The role of Stu was previously played by Gary Sinise in the 1994 miniseries. James Marsden playing the role means he won't get the girl in the end.
Did you guys see the original miniseries in the 90s? Of course he'll get the girl. Look at that. That's the best looking actor in Hollywood.
You'd think, but he's 3 for 3.
That's why I'm laughing, because I know you're right. That
3
was
strikes,
that.
this poor guy.
Oh my gosh. You know what's cool is like this next bit of news was something I had never heard of before. The Halloween Comic Fest. It's just like Free Comic Book Day, but it happens the weekend. It happens October 26th, the weekend right before Halloween. Halloween Comic Fest is an annual comic store promotional event that offers, I was running out of breath, that offers free comics from participating stores, ideal for trick-or-treaters and some older readers as well. These comic books are kind of along the spooky side of things, but they're not just horror comics. It's like older comics. They have horror like subject lines, the storylines with ghosts and creepy stuff, like Archie comics with some cool thing happening. I think it's a cool idea. I had never heard about it. For more information, go to our website at thescareguy.com or halloweencomicfest.com. And this next, why am I so out of breath today? And this next bit of information was kind of cool. One of my favorite all-time horror movies from the 70s was the original Amityville Horror. Love it or hate it, true or false, it was a captivating story. Jay Anson wrote the novel. The whole country was captivated by this book. Everyone in my family read that book, and everyone was afraid to sit in a house alone. Anyways, the Wonder Film Media Corporation has announced that Amityville 1974 has been given the green light to begin photography in November. It's the story of the real-life rampage murders that would become the background story for author Jay Anson's 1977 bestseller, The Amityville Horror, and the numerous films that have invoked it in the name or the premise. The focus of this film shifts back to the traumatic murders that reputedly set the supernatural stage for the nation's most notorious haunted house legend. In 1974, Ronald Defoe Jr. shot all 6 members of his family in a killing spree. It's pretty crazy, isn't it? And even more horrific is that a year later, the Lutz family moved in, bought the property, and only stayed there for 28 days before fleeing without any of their furniture or belongings. And then made a bunch of money off of the book.
Yeah.
Then bought more.
Yes. Anyways, I'm super excited about that. I love the Amityville story. I love the original movie. I wasn't a big fan of the remake that they did. Like, was it like
Ryan Reynolds?
Ryan Reynolds. Because it was too like. After The Grudge came out, every movie had to have a creepy little black and white girl who like just moved real creepy and had long creepy hair. So this movie had another one of those little girls in it. I was like, that's not in the book.
Everybody always tells me I need to cosplay the girl from the
You
Grudge.
would do greater than just crawl out of a television?
I think I'd scare myself doing that.
Oh, that would be
but,
fantastic.
If you crawled out of anyone's computer screen who's watching this right now, I would be totally impressed. And wonder how you did it.
That is like one of the
7 days.
Oh, that's one of the best. I've seen a cosplay of somebody like crawls out of a TV screen before. It was great. It was creepy as heck. Anyways, I'm excited about that film. About a couple of years ago, I actually was at one of the private movie houses here in town in Los Angeles, and the son who grew up in that house, he was one of the Lutz children. It was called My Own Private Nightmare, My Own Private Amityville Nightmare, something like that. He retold the story from his perspective, and he says, yeah, there was crazy stuff happening in the house, but he blamed his dad's participation in weird events and cults and stuff like that. So it's a multi-layered story. Keeps making money. And of course, Lorraine Warren has passed away. She was the one who investigated the house with her husband. That was a really sad thing. Speaking of the Warrens have a special relic in their home museum.
Oh, nice segue.
Isn't that great? They have a
Perfect.
great relic in their home museum. It's called Annabelle the Doll. Reportedly, this doll has attacked people, caused hauntings,
And grossed millions of dollars worldwide.
and it comes out next weekend to do battle with 2 other dolls or toys that came out this past weekend. Chucky
Correct. And Toy Story.
and Toy Story. We are calling it the Battle of the Toys. So who in this room has seen Chucky, the most recent Child's Play?
I saw Child's Play.
And by the way, we introduced ourselves, but we forgot to introduce our producer extraordinaire, Ryan, in the booth.
What's going on, you guys? Loving the show so far.
So Ryan, you saw Toy Story
Yes,
and you
and
saw Chucky?
I saw both. I teared up in one of them.
Chucky, for sure.
Hopefully it's Chucky.
Did you watch them back to back? Because that's what I did.
Ooh, I kind of wish I did that. No, I saw one on Friday night, and then I saw one early Saturday morning. I saw Toy Story Friday night,
All right.
Child's Play early in the morning, and it was a packed theater.
You watched them the opposite way around. So I watched Child's Play and then Toy Story.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I figured Child's Play would be scarier than Toy Story, which it was only a little bit scarier. So, yeah. But
Well,
There was some horror in Toy
yes,
Story
I know.
4.
I'm still traumatized by it.
aren't it like the ventriloquist
Yes,
dummies
there's
dolls kind of crazy creepy?
All ventriloquist dummies
Are creepy.
creepy.
Yeah.
But
They're intrinsically creepy.
I have to
Their
say they
arms don't
definitely, I would say that's probably the part that's in there for the adults rather than the kids, because I don't think the kids will understand why that's creepy. But yeah, me and my roommate were both like,
Some-
no.
Well, speaking of the battle between the toys, Toy Story 4, the fourth installment in the beloved Pixar franchise, brought in $118 million in its domestic box office, which was amazing, while Child's Play only took in $14 million. But nobody really expected like that was going to be really a battle of the Titans.
It has a B movie heritage, so
Yeah.
it's the right ballpark.
But it did still come in a little bit lower than expectations. They were expecting it to come in around 16 million. They were expecting Toy Story to come in closer to 140.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which just
It could be the time it came out too. but
yeah, I don't know, but still, Toy Story 4, 118 million. Is that anything to sneeze at? No. That is not.
It's to be quite honest, it's kind of easy to lose track of because of Aladdin and then Lion King and all these other
that's
things
true.
that Disney is doing,
Yes.
right? It's
Yeah.
just like,
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Avengers.
Avengers.
Yeah, I mean, I was just talking about the animated stuff that's coming out.
Avengers?
Yeah.
Which is about to break Avatar's record. Go!
Yeah.
Did you hear the news about Avengers real quick?
They're releasing with
Yeah.
the new scenes at the end of the
Yeah.
credits.
New scenes.
I did see that.
New end
I
credits.
did.
And a special tribute too.
Yep, a special tribute.
Oh.
So, anyways, what do we think about Child's Play battle? Why are all these toy movies hitting right at this certain time? Anybody have a guess?
Well, I mean, I think for one, Child's Play was like, what day should we? Oh, let's compete with Toy Story. I think that was genius. I just have to say though, that was genius.
Yes.
And the lead's character's name in Child's Play is also genius.
What is it?
It's Andy.
Ah,
Yeah.
Oh, Andy versus Andy.
Oh, yeah. I
Yes.
didn't even think about that.
Yes.
Because Andy is the
they
grown-up
call
boy from
Aubrey
Toy Story.
Plaza
Did he
Andy's
write
mom.
his name
They
on
never
the
say
bottom
her
of
name.
his shoe?
Huh?
Did he write his name
No.
on the bottom of the shoe though?
I think they might have gone in trouble for that if they had
Yeah.
done that.
The thing that's
So
Go ahead,
Aubrey
you go.
Plaza's character is just referred to as Andy's
I'm fairly
mom,
certain they just call her Andy's mom.
even in the credits.
I don't know. I did not see the credits scenes what it said her name was, but yeah. And at one point they say Andy's mom, and I was like, oh wow, okay. That's when I realized like, okay, Toy Story.
Well, here's a little bit of interesting thing. So Dan Mancini, he's the guy who shepherded the Child's Play Chucky franchise for the past 30 years. He's developing a new show on Sci-Fi, the Child's Play series. 30 years. That's critical. 30 years. 30 years ago, what decade were we in?
The 80s.
The 80s. So the directors of Halloween Horror Nights came out this week and said they conducted a study. They petitioned a study to find out what everybody wanted. And they found out that the 80s is the big thing that everybody is craving right now. And why is that? Because 30 years ago, the people who grew up in the 80s, they are now creating the content which is going out. That's why we are having the splash of 80s everywhere. It's 80s at Halloween Horror Nights, all these 80s throwback movies. For example, Chucky is a throwback to an 80s film. And it's also a throwback to, from what I was reading, is also a lot of horror movies got remade in the early 2000s, and it kind of falls in line with a lot of those, like, we had them written down here, but like My Bloody Valentine, House of Wax, Black Christmas, Rob Zombie's Halloween, hated it. I'm sorry, I can't keep my voice quiet on that one. So it's kind of. Oh, by the way, Ryan, is this image up right now on the?
I just put it up as you mentioned.
This is the battle: Woody versus Chucky. And what's interesting is that Chucky is voiced by none other than Mark Hamill himself.
He did great.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Katie, what did you think of the movie overall?
I mean, I have not seen the original, but I did think they did a very good job at translating a story that is such an old story that people know into the 21st century, and in something that I think is even more terrifying than like a demon, which is saying something, but I don't know how much was seen in the trailer. I don't want to give something away, but
Yeah, this is kind of non-spoilery.
Well, yeah, they basically reinvent why Chucky.
Oh, it's AI.
exists.
That has been.
Yes.
Yeah, that
so
is
it's
out there.
AI, and I think AI is terrifying. But I also thought it was a very smart way to bring in like this, classic with modern, kind of like in the same way Jumanji did. Like they had a good way to translate it into 2019, and I thought it was. I mean, it was gruesome. It was terrifying. Some of the ways that they altered what they did because of the fact that the franchise is split up and owned by different people, they found ways to like get around the things, and I thought that was interesting. Found that out later, but yeah, I very much enjoyed it. I mean, I was about to cry because I hate dolls like so much, but it was.
Boy,
very
this is a
good.
rough couple of weeks for you.
Yeah.
Ryan, what did you think of Child's Play?
I liked it. I think it was a great throwback to 80s films, especially with the way they showed the gore. It was very, the color, the texture of the blood was just
Yes.
so vivid and thick that you could tell it was definitely a style choice. So I really admired that. I really also admired that they really went for a new take on the movie, because you see a lot of these 80s remakes nowadays, and it's just a straight up remake. But this one really it made some decisions, it owned them. And I really like seeing that if you're going to remake it, do something new, and they definitely did something new.
Yeah.
Very cool.
When I heard they were doing the AI slant on the doll, though, I was thinking of the 1995 movie Small Soldiers.
Oh, yeah.
Where there's a satellite chip placed in a series of dolls that then turn against the kids. Has anyone else seen this movie, Sarah?
No, I haven't seen it.
I have seen this movie.
Okay,
this is
yeah.
a good movie.
Tommy Lee Jones as the main doll, and Kirsten Dunst is in it. She's the love interest of the main kid, but yeah.
No, I
When
didn't
was it
see
made? The
that.
90s?
Mid-90s, yeah.
Makes sense why Kristen Dunst was in it then.
Yeah. It was smack dab in her Jumanji
Yeah.
period.
Mhm,
Yeah.
yep.
So right after Interview with the Vampire.
Isn't
yeah.
that when she stopped acting back then? Anyways,
I thought of Avengers too.
Avengers 2.
Ultron.
Ultron, yeah.
There's Small
Like I said,
Soldiers,
there's-
yes. That photo right there.
I remember that.
That was a quick grab.
on
Very nice.
I remember that in VHS, it's like back of the boxes in the video stores. Also, there's this movie from the 90s called Maximum Overdrive. Steve written and directed by
Stephen King.
He wrote the screenplay. Yeah, it was about semi trucks who started killing people.
Appliances start killing people.
yeah.
Soda machines throw cans at people
Yeah, that's
out of the thing.
It was like an early AI type experience. It was kind of cool.
Kinda.
Kind of cool. It was
cool.
It was Emilio Estevez. He was the protagonist. Remember that? Oh my. Anyways,
The main reason I want to see Child's Play, I was just like you were saying, the Mark Hamill thing. So he did a good wide range of.
Yeah.
Was there like humor, but also creepiness and that sinister laugh, like a Joker kind of laugh, or?
I thought it was a very good performance by him. I was like, I need to watch something that I like him in now, because I was kind of creeped out.
clean your
But,
palate.
But I
got
thought
a
it was
creepy
a really good performance by him. At first, there's times where I was like, wait, oh yeah, this is Mark Hamill. Like, there's a couple moments where you're like, oh yeah. And then my roommate didn't know, and then I told her, she's like, okay, I hear it now. After hearing like Joker, if you've heard him as Joker, you can kind of understand like kind of how
He's sinister. He is a
Yes.
sinister.
Yeah.
guy.
So there's
he's
a
a
little bit of
chameleon.
parallel
Yes.
with that.
So I think it would, if definitely people who are used to hearing him as Joker, you'll see some of the similarities in it for sure.
He's
Fantastic.
if you ever
Yeah.
get a chance, he does interviews where he mimics Harrison Ford as well too, and he sounds exactly like him. He's one of the most talented voice actors working ever in all of history.
And tonight, he is reading the Mueller report live in a staged reading with John Lithgow. Riveting stuff there. All right, so real quick, while we're going to jump out of the Battle of the Toys, but Annabelle, how do we think that Chucky's going to stack up against Annabelle? By the way, we never thought that Chucky was going to beat Woody. It's never going to happen. But how will it stack up against Annabelle?
I mean, the Conjuring universe is pretty solid even like with their fan base. I think they're gonna do okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
going to clean up.
Yeah, like people, I don't touch it, but that's a very popular universe that's just kind of become this huge
Jack,
huge thing.
Go ahead.
Which ones have you seen? I was going to say.
I haven't seen any of them. I will not watch them.
They're very good.
Yeah.
Both Conjuring movies are very good, but not only just over the top kind of horror stuff, but also like the low key stuff that really kind of like it lets like simmer into like the crescendo of, oh, this is really creepy and good. But I've seen the Conjuring movies, the first Annabelle. I haven't seen Creation or The Nun yet, but
Oh my gosh.
I think they're quite well made.
Oh, here's Annabelle. Speaking of which, the Conjuring universe.
Yeah, I haven't been looking at the screen for like 30
Oh my
seconds.
gosh,
so-
Ryan is keeping us up to date. But the thing about
The only thing that would make her worse is if there's a ventriloquist sitting behind her doing an act.
gosh.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that would make that worse.
with the
Yeah.
dummy's arms. But speaking of Annabelle, it was cool that we got to see the actual doll from the film last year over at Warner Brothers.
Yeah,
They had a
Warner.
cool, you told us about the cool Halloween
Yeah.
event that they had on the lot over there.
Yeah. Walk through the maze and they had some of the actual stuff there, including one of the Annabelle dolls.
Oh, and then
From
they
the
had
movie.
That little trick how it like disappears all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Oh, the Pepper's
Did not
Ghost
like
experience.
that.
And then they had the nun experience where the nun's shadow walks
my
across the
gosh,
wall. We're
where
like,
the
what's going on?
picture
Then her
comes towards
fingers
you.
come out from behind the picture and she comes at you.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Chases you out. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's something else scary in the room. Nightmare Cinema. 5 strangers watch their deepest and darkest fears play out before them in an abandoned theater as the projectionist preys upon their souls with this collection of disturbing films. Things get off to a fast start, according to industry publication Variety, as Samantha, played by Sarah Weathers, is weepily walking off an apparent breakup when she spies a theater marquee emblazoned with her name as the star of The Thing in the Woods. Mystified, she walks into the open, empty, seemingly automated movie palace. And what happens next, Sarah?
And then I get thrown down into the seat and by a mysterious force, and then I sort of glaze over and see my worst fears play out on screen.
And they're pretty bad. Me and Cheeseman just got done watching this segment, and I gotta say, it is 80s-tastic. It is it is final. It's a throwback to Final Girls and schlocky, over the top. The welder as the serial killer coming at you, and it was great. I just had so much fun watching it. I was watching it while I ate, and I was like, I can't finish this meal, but still. What'd you think?
Yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun, and loved the different stories within it. And started out great with yours. You got to be there right in the beginning. The cinematography was cool. The types of shots, even the aerial shots where they're following people, and the special effects where things may open up and other things, and just little crittery things crawling around.
And we're going to talk
There's
about
a whole mix of different types of horror and fun, and even kind of funny lines kind of within it and everything. And what did they use for blood in this one for you? They covered you in blood on
You were
certain
covered
parts.
with something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, it was actually really tricky for the makeup artist because every day she had to replicate the same droplets of blood. So she was a very sweet lady. I think she did makeup for Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so she
Very similar.
very similar.
Both crawling into closets and other doorways. No.
Yes, yeah. So she took a picture of my face after the first day, and then would just try to splatter it on in the same way.
That's got to be so taxing for you.
It really was taxing. It was like, okay, this streak was a lot bigger than that. And so, but the only unpleasant part was that they just smeared glycerin on my shirt so that it looked fresh. So my shirt was sticky and wet every day. So I was always peeling it off my skin.
So, did they have multiple versions of the costumes, and they would just get a new one each day, or did they just use the same one?
Oh no! So it was just the same. We had bloody shirt and shorts, and then clean shirt and shorts.
Yes, of course. Okay.
Yeah. So it would have been in the trailer all night, and get there, and it was cold and wet in the morning, and
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
I don't think it's giving too much away to say there was a certain scene where a very bloody, disemboweled body is something you had to lay on, put your hands into the intestines.
And they show a picture of that on the. I mean, I don't think we have it on here, but
it's part of the
something they
publicity
do
pictures that's
advertise
out.
of,
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was super cool to see. So K&B did all of the dead bodies and all the crazy stuff that you see in it. And so they had very detailed intestines and organs. So it was an anatomy class.
It was gross.
There was more glycerin on that thing, just so I could slide
all over
in
it.
that. Yeah.
Now, what's cool about this movie is that it is directed by 5 different directors. I have their names here. Mick Garris. He is the brainchild that put the film together. He used to have a series called Masters of Horror.
Yes.
Was it on Showtime?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's for 2 or 3 years. And so this is kind of a cool big screen version of Masters of Horror where he has these horror directors come in. So there was Mick Garris, and then your director was Alejandro Bruje. I think we got that right. And then the legendary Joe Dante of Gremlins fame, David Slade, and I'm not going to get this last one. I apologize. Rahuhe? Can you read this one, Katie?
It's probably okay. First name I'm not going to be able to pronounce right now, but Kitamura would be the last name.
All right.
Right.
I'm so sorry we slayed that one. Get it? But anyways, it's a cool idea, and what is the central story for what pulls all these stories together?
So essentially, the protagonists of each film are wandering along in the night, see their name on the marquee of this mysterious old theater, and are transfixed, and a ticket pops up, and they're like, oh, and they go inside, and so something possesses them to go by themselves into this scary place. So.
And it's being run by the projectionist.
Yes, correct. Mickey Rourke plays the projectionist, and he has sinister intentions and killer abs.
I was about to say, like we were asking you about Mickey Rourke, and she's
That's
like,
a poster line right there.
It
That would be
is
really good. Yeah.
sinister intentions, killer abs. Didn't he provide his own costume?
He did indeed.
Of
Yeah,
course.
I wasn't on set with him at the same time, which was a bummer. He was on set the day after me to film that wraparound shoot, but that was the story I heard, that he insisted on bringing his own costume.
Which is no shirt. He's been working out.
A leather vest, baby. Yeah.
How old is that guy? He looks like his abs look like the abs of a 25-year-old. But that's Mickey Rourke for you.
I mean, you guys saying sinister. It's not really hard for me to picture him in a sinister role. You know, like.
Oh, Mickey Rourke, like he brings something else to a role. I tell you what, he
Yeah.
just has a something about him. You know.
He used to be a boxer.
No, yeah, he really was. So who else was in yours?
66. He'll be 67 this year.
Get out of town.
Wow,
With
he's killing
abs.
Those had to be prop abs. Those weren't his. Those weren't
Killing
his.
it.
But like so in your story, and we don't want to give it away, but it did have a couple of cool twists in it and things. But it was kind of like an ode to like what 80s horror movies, right?
Yeah.
Because we were talking before the show. The very first image is very bucolic and beautiful, and it sounds like the closing music from the original Friday the 13th, which I was like brilliant. And then and it's cool because it doesn't really start in a slow part. It starts right in the middle. You're running out covered with blood and running, and all your friends are dead. It's really starting in the middle of it. I really love the way they did that.
Alejandro talked about how he was used to writing feature-length films, and so he, was asked to be a part of this, to do the short. So he thought, why not just start in like the last third of a slasher
I love
film?
that.
Because we all know kind of what happens before. So just it's off to the races, running away from the welder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did anyone of you see Juan of the Dead?
I've not seen one of
That was his. He directed that.
Yeah, it's kind of the same. It's without the sort of 80s throwback. It's like Alejandro's humor is very consistent. He's hilarious, and so you can see it's definitely the same kind of. He just has that effortless goofiness.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good.
Now, did you ever? I haven't finished the film. It's on pause right now at home on Amazon Prime. By the way, why don't you tell us where we can see the film?
Right, so you can see it on iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, Vudu, Shudder, so many different platforms.
And select theaters around the country as well.
Of course, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I didn't see the end, but did you interact with any of the other stories? Or is that a spoiler or not?
No. So there is a shot at the end where me and all the other unlucky travelers are in the theater, and we're all sort of
in the
dead,
theater.
I guess.
Oh, you're giving.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's ambiguous, so
Only sort of.
I mean, we're sort of
Sorry.
dead. I don't know. I mean, we're not slain. We're just like.
You're in the theater.
I think
In
we're
theater.
emotionally dead.
I mean,
Well, the projectionist, he's trying to get you in there. And there's reasons, Because I think even in the marketing material, they talk about how he is collecting hundreds of years of sorrow and terror and nightmares. And it's really kind of cool.
Yeah,
And it's filmed in the old Rialto Theater. Which part of... That's
Pasadena.
Pasadena, yeah.
cool.
That's
It's
a great
beautiful.
spot.
Was it
It's
open
perfect.
when you guys filmed there? Because I knew it was closed for a couple of years. Or was it operating?
No, it wasn't open, but the lights were gorgeous. It didn't look super dilapidated, but
No, I asked because that's the same theater where Gosling and Stone go to watch Rebel Without a Cause in La La Land, the Rialto.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so now when I watch that movie, I'm kind of thinking Mickey Rourke's up in the projection booth ruining the movie for them, so they go off and have a romantic night. Like, that was like, you guys get off.
yeah,
You, Sarah, no, you're going into the woods, but they get off.
The thing that's funny about watching this part of the movie, though, there were definitely parts of your section when your character makes some decisions, and we're sitting there like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you doing? You know, those typical 80s horror movies when everybody's yelling at the screen, don't go in the basement. What are you doing going in the basement?
Yeah.
Especially when there's all this stuff happening upstairs. But it was, you know, it was good.
Yeah, probably half my screen time was screaming, and so after the shoot, I was spent. Like, for a couple of days. I was not talking, drinking some tea. So yeah, I gave it my all from the depths of hell.
Now, did you say how many days filming that one
So yeah,
particularly was?
each short we shot for 5 days, and then did a day or two. Probably 3 months later for the wraparound shooting, going into the movie theater, and all that stuff with Mickey Rourke was a few months later. Yeah, at the end.
Not to put you on the spot, but if you were ever to see your greatest fear on the screen, what do you think that might be?
Clowns.
Dead plants.
Split really freaked me out. It's not like horror, but like, I don't like realistic stuff. I don't like, I mean, okay, Split isn't super realistic. But in terms of, you know, kidnapping, my mom watches so much date night. Like, I'm very cautious and paranoid because my mom was like, don't do anything.
Like those stories like she was walking home and then...
Oh, yeah. That stuff creeps me out the most.
Well, from being from like the Bay Area, that was the Zodiac more talked about up there.
Yeah, my dad was telling me about that growing up, and I think people were afraid to go trick-or-treating and stuff like that. You know, it's good we live in a world where everyone has instant communication. I mean, that's one of the pros.
I know. But like, is your movie set in the 80s, or did it just because your costume was very 80s?
Right. I think it just wanted to have little hints, but it wasn't necessarily. I didn't get any clear, you know, direction that it was. So. Yeah.
If you had, so we are coming to the end of the show. If you had to like give one message to all the listeners and all the viewers out there about Nightmare Cinema, what do you want to tell them?
You'll have more fun watching this than you've ever had in your life. So you got to go see it because nothing will top this.
Nice.
In line with the campiness, I just wanted to give something a little over the top.
It is campy. It is campy. And that's part of the fun. Is there anybody on the from the production that you want to call out and say, hey?
I mean, Alejandro, you were awesome. I hope to work with him for a long time. He had so much energy and charisma and love for what he does. So, and I'm so appreciative for everyone who, from casting to the people who were just so supportive to me on set and afterwards. So thank you so much. And thank you guys so much for having me, too. I'm really happy.
Oh, we're so glad you're here. I don't think this is giving anything away. If you are afraid of spiders, you're going to get super squeamish during this movie. I'm telling you, so many spiders in that thing. That was crazy. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for coming on tonight, Sarah. We really appreciate you coming.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming along with us tonight, guys, on the ScareGuys Show as we continue our adventure towards Halloween, which is only a few months away, believe it or not. You can find us at thescareguy.com. You can find us on Twitter at thescareguy. Is that .com or is it just thescareguy? Do you guys remember? Anyways, find
ScareGuy.com.
ScareGuy.com.
On Twitter.
Find us on Instagram at thescareguy. You can
on Twitter and Instagram we're just thescareguy. The website is thescareguy.com.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Very cool. Social media people keep me in line here. Anyways, go on, follow us, like us, comment, stalk us, chase us down. We love every bit of it. Who else do we have, and where can people find you guys online?
I am Katie, and you can find me on Twitter at Katie_Christine. I also tweet on both the Scare Guy and Con Guy Twitters and Instagram. And if you happen to be in Huntington Beach, I'll be walking in the parade on the 4th of July. So.
Oh, fantastic! What time does it start?
I don't know yet.
Oh my!
Too early.
Yeah.
For Jim.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Sarah E. Withers.
You can find me on Instagram at Twitter at JT Hummus. Congratulations, Aaron, for winning the Rom-Com Film Festival in downtown Los Angeles.
Fantastic! That's awesome.
That's my wife.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome.
Go, Aaron.
Congrats, Aaron.
And I'm Cheeseman on the Couch. You can find me on thescareguy.com or on Twitter at CheeseOnCouch.
And I think I already told you where you can find me, but make sure you follow us, keep things scary, and have a good fun summer. See you guys later.
Bye.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.